In this video, we will show you how to replace your knock sensor on this Jeep Patriot with a 2.4 liter engine. This will be mounted along the front of your engine. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. We need to start by disconnecting our negative battery terminal. To gain access to the battery, we're going to remove our air inlet tube. Along the forward portion of the air inlet tube, you're going to find that you have two plastic clips. You can take hold of those, give them a quarter turn counterclockwise. After that, you should be able to lift this up and we'll slide it straight forward and away. That exposes our negative battery terminal. Use a 10mm to loosen the mounting nut just enough that you can remove the terminal end from the battery. Moving straight rearward from there, we're going to disconnect our air temp sensor. For this, you're going to find that you have a red locking tab. We'll have to dislodge that, and then we can make our way right along here. We'll squeeze this in and pull this out of place. A quick inspection for corrosion. We'll set that aside. Now we're using an 8mm or flathead screwdriver for this clamp so we can loosen the air inlet tube between the air filter housing and the throttle body. We're attempting to break this free, but we can't remove it yet. Let's continue on down inside this area. We're going to follow the inlet tube down towards the throttle body. Now, if you were looking all the way down in this area, as you follow it down, you can see that there's a small tip of plastic. If you were looking along the rearward side of that, you're going to find that there's actually a wiring harness attached to it. So we're going to go ahead and press this out and through towards the rear. I'm just going to use a pry bar for this. It's easiest to make my way down in there. There we are. Continuing on, we're going to follow that air inlet all the way towards the throttle body. We have another 8mm headed clamp. Once again, you can also use a flathead screwdriver if necessary. We're only loosening it enough that we can remove this tube from the throttle body. Up along the top, we're going to separate this from the air filter housing. Now we should be able to twist this and lift it up and out of position. You may have to flex that upper radiator hose a little bit. There it is. Just a quick inspection and we'll set that aside. Now we're holding this up and away. We can make our way in and behind our intake manifold. If you are looking along the front of the engine block itself, this is where you're going to find your knock sensor. Now that you've seen where it is, we're going to start removing this knock sensor from the engine block itself. For this, I'm using a 13mm. Once we've removed the bolt, we can start bringing the knock sensor out to an area that we can disconnect the electrical connector. I've got my 13mm ratcheting wrench. Not much room in this area. Okay, there's our mounting bolt. Now as you start pulling this away, you'll find it only comes out so far. We'll have to continue on in this area to disconnect our electrical connector. For that electrical connector, it has two locking tabs, one along each side of the connector. Squeeze them in and disconnect the knock sensor. There it is, friend. Now that we have that knock sensor out of position, there's a couple things that we'll pay attention to. First, the engine block. This is the mounting surface. We want to make sure it's a smooth surface here, so you can use some fine sandpaper if necessary. We'll also be paying attention to our electrical connector. We need to confirm you do not see any corrosion or any other damage in this area. That electrical connector looks good. Now it's time to install our knock sensor. When we go to install this, we're going to start with our electrical connector first. Line it up, press it in, listen for a click. When we do install this onto the engine, we want to have it so that electrical connector is facing as close to straight down as possible. Now this part can be a little bit difficult using one hand. There really isn't too much space for two hands in this area. Just trying to get this to align so we can press it together. Listen for an audible click from each one of those two locking tabs. We'll just give it a close inspection, confirming it's properly secured. You do not want to have a loose connection. Now that I have that connected in, it's time for the mounting bolt. We're going to take that mounting bolt and slide it straight through our knock sensor. We'll start the mounting bolt into the engine block. Once we have the bolt started in, we're going to take that connector, have it facing straight down, snug up the mounting bolt. The torque for that will be 177 inch-pounds. Now I've got the bolt through the knock sensor. Let's bring this over to position. Okay, the bolt's started in. I can tell that my knock sensor is facing in the proper direction. Let's continue on snugging and torquing. Just using my ratcheting wrench. Okay, right there is bottomed out. We've got our torque wrench set to that 177 inch-pounds. Try to get into this area. Obviously there's very minimal room. Okay, 177 inch-pounds right there. Double check to make sure that that's properly aligned and secured in place. Now it's time to insert our air intake tube. We want to make sure that we have this in the proper orientation. Up along the top is where our air temp sensor is going to be located. Down along the bottom, we of course have our clamp where it connects to that throttle body, and then located just above it, you have one small port for your wiring harness to be mounted to. Let's start bringing this down into position. We're starting down near that throttle body. Once you feel as though you have it properly aligned, press it onto the throttle body as far as you can, and then we'll snug the clamp. Now I have this pressed onto the throttle body as far as possible. I'm going to continue on with snugging my lower clamp. Once you have that snug, you want to try to remove it from the throttle body. It should not be able to slide out of place. With that connected to the throttle body, we're going to follow the wiring harness to its securing point in this area. We want to make sure that we press that in. Just double check, make sure that's secure. We don't want that getting loose and getting damaged. Let's continue all the way up along the top next. We'll carefully flex this tube, slide it onto the air filter housing, press it on there as far as possible, and snug that clamp. Now we're going to reconnect our air temp sensor. Let's go ahead and line it up. We'll press it in. Listen for a click from that. Red locking tab. Now we're in this area. Reconnect your negative battery terminal. We're pressing that onto the battery as far as possible. Tighten your 10mm mounting nut. It's bottomed out. Just take it a tiny bit further. Make sure there's no movement. It's time for our next air inlet tube. This is going to go into the air filter housing, and we'll swing the rest down into its mounting position. Slide that in there. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our vehicle's knock sensor. At this point, hop in the passenger compartment and start up your vehicle. We want to confirm it runs as it should and you have no check engine light. After that, just go ahead and close the hood and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.